We are coming off Superlek versus Takeru, a masterclass, a pound-for-pound worthy performance. The striking king, Superlek was able to defeat Takeru over 5 rounds in a solid and impressive performance. My name is Tim Wheaton, and thank you for joining me with Kick Weekly with Tim Wheaton. This is a weekly kickboxing podcast covering all the latest fights and news in the kickboxing world. In addition to the Superlek versus Takeru matchup, we're also going to be talking about the Glory Heavyweight Grand Prix matches, which were just announced earlier today. Last week, Superlek versus Takeru went down live from Tokyo. It was the best of one versus the best of K1, the best of Muay Thai versus the best of kickboxing. And as we discussed before the match, Takeru is going to attempt to close the distance and land flurries. Famously, he does not check kicks. Not checking kicks was his downfall in this match, and it happened almost right away. You could see within the first few kicks in the first round how much of a difference that was making. Superlek showed off his expert distance management game. He was just an expert when it comes to distance management. He slammed thunderous leg kicks from range to keep Takeru off of him so he wasn't able to flurry. He used a peppering jab, but not a heavy jab where he really sat down on his power. Just a peppering jab to keep your opponent busy, blocking, dodging, moving away, whatever it might be. Just a peppering jab is all you need. Later in the fight, he also added the teep kick and the knee to this arsenal. But yeah, the story of the fight was Superlek landing the leg kick, Takeru trying to close the distance and just being unable to. I'm honestly so impressed with Superlek. This was such an impressive performance. The last few years have just been incredible for this man. We keep moving the definition of impressive striker, and he keeps raising to that level. He keeps rising to the challenge. We keep moving the goalposts, and he keeps scoring the goal. No matter what's ahead of him, he is such a good striker. First, he defeated Super Ball for the True For You Championship. This was kind of the best guys on the Muay Thai Bangkok scene facing off against one another. So he beat Super Ball for the championship. And then after that, he was able to defeat his longtime rival, Panpayak. Panpayak is still one of the best active strikers in Muay Thai today. What an absolute game changer performance it was. And it was a close match, but I mean, Superlek won, and it was a really good performance. And then he followed it up by defeating the king of modern Muay Thai, Rod Tang Jit Wong Nong. Fight of the year performance. Didn't get the title in it, but showed dominance in that matchup. Really, really impressive win. Next, he faced the king of modern day kickboxing, Takeru. And it wasn't a particularly close match. Superlek rose to the occasion, defeated the king of kickboxing. It was a really, really impressive fight. But what an impressive few years it has been for Superlek. And in between all those marquee wins from Super Ball, Panpayak, Rod Tang, and Takeru, in between all those, he's knocking people out. He's beating people up. He's beating people up in both Muay Thai and kickboxing. What more does Superlek need to do to impress people? He's such an impressive fighter. Who else does he need to beat at this point? Who else is even left for him at this point? Between Muay Thai and kickboxing in this weight division, he's beaten most of them. Not only that, but they were impressive performances to boot. The most recent win was an expert performance, a masterclass from the Kickboxing fighter. The leg kick was constantly there for Superlek, and Takeru did nothing to protect himself against this except to try and close the distance, which he was able to do once or twice, but not frequently. Superlek was a late notice replacement for this fight. Rod Tang pulled out due to injury, but I don't think game planning really mattered in this match for either of these fighters. I think even if you had a year's worth of prep or a day's worth of prep, the fight probably would have looked the same regardless. And the reason I think that is because both guys kind of did their normal game. So that is what Superlek's game is. That is what he always does. That is his normal game. Takeru, in more recent years, that is his game. That is normally what he does in every fight. Before the match, I was talking about how close I thought it was. And if these guys fought 10 times, you might get 10 different results. But after seeing the fight, I've completely done a 180 on this and completely changed my mind. I think if these guys fought 10 times, Superlek probably beats him 9 out of 10 times. And I also want to say, Takeru maybe is a little bit out of his prime at this point, and we'll get to that in a minute here. But even in their primes, at their very, very best, I would still pick Superlek to beat him in every era of their fight career. And a lot of people will crucify me for saying that, but after seeing the performance, I don't know, how controversial that would be. And the thing is, to beat Takeru using that, people talked about the leg kicks and how he didn't check leg kicks. It's not just the leg kicks. Most of the credit actually goes to how skilled and how much of an expert Superlek is. Because if you gave that same game plan to someone else against Takeru, they wouldn't be able to execute it. You can have the right game plan with the wrong fighter. But with Superlek, you have the right game plan with the right fighter. If it was that easy to beat Takeru, just land leg kicks, just throw leg kicks. If it was that easy, everyone would have done it. But not everyone can do it. But Superlek was the fighter who's able to do it. That's how good he is. And let's talk about Takeru maybe being a little bit over the hill, or like he might be. Let's talk about Takeru maybe being a little bit over the hill physically, but tactically as well. But from his battles in the ring to his battles in the gym, he's notable for his absolute battles going on in the gym almost every day. It looks like he's worn his body down a lot. In this fight, he really wasn't mixing strikes. He was trying the same thing over and over again. And it was his kind of typical game. And the one time he did mix strikes, he landed that body kick, and the body kick really changed the direction of that round. That was the best round. So when he changed his game a little bit, he started to have more success, but he went right back to kind of the normal stuff. And some of that was Superlek's doing with the strong leg kicks and distance management, but some of that may have also been Takeru's fault, because I think fighters over a long time end up limiting their own game when they have a lot of success. And let me explain that. So a lot of fighters early on, they have an A game, punching flurries on the inside. And then you have a B game to set up your A game. So your B game is stuff like inside leg kicks to set up the punches, or throwing tons of feints, throwing tons of jabs, double jabs, triple jabs to close the distance, and then you can land the flurry. And what we've seen from Takeru in more recent years, while his body may have slowed down, he's actually doing less stuff to set up his A game. And a lot of fighters, if they fight long enough and find success, this is what they end up doing. They start with a full arsenal of stuff, and then over time just chip away to the thing that was working. And now, but over time, they're not doing the stuff that was setting it up. The stuff that was really making that game work, they stopped doing and just relying on the end result. You can see that with Wanderlei Silva, Dan Henderson, people like this. They had a full arsenal of stuff, and by the end, they were just throwing overhand rights and stuff like that. I'm sure there's loads of other examples. But honestly, Takeru used to have a much larger game in his younger years. He was much sharper. He was faster. But yeah, I think his body's worn down. I think his mind is worn down in this sport as well, in terms of he's just trying fewer things. And this match, like I said, it's not Superlek beating an old Takeru. I think regardless of what stage they're both at in their career, Superlek would have won this fight. He's just that good. Yeah, Takeru had one really good flurry, and he set it up with the body kick. The body kick was the thing that was making the difference there. The highlight was the 20 punch combination that he threw at Superlek's body, but it was the body kick that set it all up. And I wish he did a little bit more, but I think the reason he wasn't throwing so many kicks in this fight is because his lead leg, he probably couldn't kick it with how much bruising it has. And then his rear kick, he probably couldn't throw it because he couldn't stand on the left leg so much. So it was maybe his doing, but really Superlek played a part of that as well. God, the bruising looked bad, didn't it? That was on every MMA website, just how bad that bruising was. It looked like raw hamburger meat. It's just, so bad. That's going to be a career-changing kind of bruising there. He's out for like 3 months now. And in that time, you're not keeping in shape by going jogging or lifting weights or anything like that. He's barely able to walk on that leg. And that changes the course of someone's career, especially later in their career. But it's possible that the bruising is so deep that it's, on the femur. The closer bruising is to the bone, the longer it will take to heal. So the deeper the bruising, it might take a long time to heal. And considering how condensed some of the bruising is, it might take longer to heal. And he's going to have to take like almost a rolling pin and roll it on his leg to spread the bruising out so that it can heal properly. So it's going to be a very painful recovery process for the Japanese Takeru. What's next for each man? After this victory, there's not much left for Superlek except for rematches. I mean, Rodtang there, Elias Anahashi. I mean, he's fought these guys before. I guess Daniel Puertas is still around. You have Taiki Naito is still around. But yeah, these are all rematches. I'm not entirely sure what's left for him. Maybe goes up in weight or the Rodtang rematch. I think those are the most likely two. Superlek's weight cut was not an issue this time around. He had a nutritionist in his corner and made the weight no problem, and then looked very good in the fight. But he is still quite large for this division, maybe going up. But yeah, we'll see what he has. Essentially everything's in front of him, but he has beat everyone at this weight class already. What's next for Takeru? Well, he's probably not fighting for at least a year, I would argue, but we shall see. I still would like to see the Rodtang match because I think it'd be fun. Just two guys who are absolute bangers and brawlers going out there, the best of each. Like, it just is a historic and fun fight. I still think that's the one to make, but it's not going to be for a minute, is it? But yeah, it was a really good fight. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Superlek did a lot in that fight. The distance management was key. Like, the leg kicks were obviously the biggest piece of the puzzle, but it was distance management overall. Peppering jabs, knees, teep kicks, just an entire arsenal to shut down what you would do against a brawler when you can't clinch against them, when you can't elbow against them. I mean, Superlek is just absolutely incredible. And in addition to how good the fight was, this was a milestone moment for myself and Calf Kick Sports as well. The podcast did quite well. In the past, these podcasts have done well. From Takeru signing in one championship, we've had a lot of success. We had a short about Takeru versus Rodtang that got huge interactions. That was really good. And then we had a video breaking down Superlek versus Takeru, and it got over 70,000 views on YouTube. So that was an absolutely massive moment. For us, this was a milestone. But yeah, Takeru signing with one has just been a huge boon for us. So we've just been winning. I think the video essay that we did with Superlek versus Takeru, definitely going to be doing more of that style of stuff in the future, because this is a lot of like doing different things until you find what's working. And I think this face-to-face podcast actually did better than I was expecting. But if you compare the numbers, apples to apples, on how much effort this takes versus the results, compared to a video essay and then the results, I mean, we've got to be doing video essays. So I think in the future, there may not be a podcast that week, but there will be a video essay on Wednesdays. But I still will keep the podcast going. But yeah, we're partnering with different people. Like, we send that video essay with the results to different organizations and get permission to use their library to make more video essays for these people. So RWS Muay Thai is one of those people that we're talking to. We're going to do more with one championship. There's other organizations out there who we're talking to. PFL has also given us permission, so we're going to see what they give us in the future. But yeah, it's just it's really nice to see that kind of success. Been in the industry for a few years, trying different things, and I think sometimes you find what's working for you. And that's great to see. Let's take a look at the rest of the event here that we had. 165. Grappling bout, Cade Ruotolo defends his title. I offer no opinion. Shinya Aoki defeats John Lineker by submission in the first round, rear naked choke. This was an odd one. Sage Northcutt withdrew from the bout just a few hours before the fight, but then they had John Lineker ready to go. So John Lineker weighed in the day before with no opponent in mind, and it wasn't even announced what match he was the replacement for, because his weight doesn't actually match a lot of these fights on the card. But he made weight. But apparently Sage Northcutt's cornermen, two guys, one of them was Uriah Faber. They were in Japan already, as we know, because they were practicing together, and we could see that on Instagram. But apparently they didn't get their visa done, or something just didn't happen with his cornerman. So because of that, he withdrew from the bout because he didn't have his cornerman there with him. So it's an interesting thing, and I want to get other people's opinions on it. What do you make of Sage Northcutt withdrawing from the bout? So I'm going to give you a couple different options here as to what you think happened. Option number one is the story that we are told that Sage Northcutt did not have his cornerman there, and therefore he withdrew. If you don't think you can win this fight without your cornerman, that's not that impressive. That doesn't show me the mental fortitude, like that it's just not and especially a fight against Shinya Aoki. Like, this was set up for an easy win for Sage Northcutt. He didn't need his cornerman there to beat Shinya Aoki. He would have won that fight easily. Option number two, something happened behind the scenes, and then Sage didn't want to work with one because something happened. Like, one didn't file the paperwork for the visa, or one didn't pay for the accommodation, or one didn't pay for the visa. There might have been something there where he said, no, I'm not fighting for you guys because something wasn't covered. But we really don't know. But the weird part is that during the fight, Sage Northcutt did an update on Instagram, and he said his cornermen are already flying home. So did they book their tickets at the same time as the flight, or did they book it at the last second? Like, what? Why were they flying home during the fight? They were already on their way home. We know they were there already the night before. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much. This fight, honestly, yeah, we're going to talk a lot about this fight, and it's not going to matter at all. Like, it's Sage Northcutt and Shinya Aoki and John Lineker. It's not that big of a deal. Anyway, let's move forward here. Nikki Holzken defeats Yoshihiro Akiyama by first round knockout. So this was round 1 boxing, round 2 Muay Thai, and round 3 MMA between former Glory champion Nikki Holzken versus Yoshihiro Akiyama, who was a good judoka, fought in like K1 Heroes, fought all around the globe, fought in different promotions like the UFC, won championship, stuff like that. Even on paper, this wasn't a great fight for Yoshihiro Akiyama, but the fight itself was actually a lot worse for him than I expected. Nikki Holzken threw 2 punches in this fight. The first one got a knockdown, the second one was a knockout. That's it. That's all. That's the story of the fight. Nothing else to add on that. Murat Grigorian had the best fight on the event against Sidichai. This was a really good back and forth fight. It was a great kickboxing bout. Both of these are former champions in Glory kickboxing. Sidichai was a former champion in Lumpini Stadium. Murat also picked up titles in K1. It was a really, really good fight. This is the 6th time they fought, and it was the best time as well. It was great to see tactical adjustments throughout the fight, one person kind of figuring out different tools. You could see that Murat was using the low kick, and that was leading to really impressive success as the fight went on, because Sidichai did well. Ultimately, Murat Grigorian gave Sidichai, I believe, the first knockout loss of his career via body strikes in the 3rd round. Really fun fight, really good stuff. Raid Opacic was able to defeat Iraj Azapur via unanimous decision. Really good work with the body kick, and he was able to control distance a lot better. Iraj was not able to close the distance or land any huge significant strikes, but yeah, Raid Opacic looked like the better fighter in the 1st round and then was able to ride that out for the next few rounds, but it was a decent fight overall. If you just watch a couple fights from this card, obviously you need to see the Superlek fight and you need to see the Murat Grigorian versus Sidichai fight. Those are the key ones. Everything else on the card is pretty passable in all honesty. If you missed it live, it can be a little bit difficult to find online because One Championship, this was a pay-per-view, so they're not uploading it right to YouTube right away. Give it a couple weeks. It'll be up there eventually. All right, that is 165 in the books. Now let's take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Glory Heavyweight Grand Prix. Thank you for listening to the Calf Kick Sports Network. Make sure to check out more interviews, highlights, and podcasts on the interview channels. Additionally, make sure to check out Calf Kick Sports on Instagram. Links for all of these will be down below. Now, back to the show. Welcome back, folks. Thanks for joining me. Just earlier today, Glory has revealed the brackets for the upcoming Glory Heavyweight Grand Prix going down March 9th, live from the Netherlands. They've been working on this Grand Prix for quite a while. It was supposed to happen in the Q4 in 2023. For various reasons, they decided to move it to Q1 2024, and it's looking pretty good now. So we managed to get Rico in the Grand Prix. There's tons of other people who were able to win fights or win small tournaments to qualify for this Grand Prix. So everyone in this tournament has really earned their place, and I'm looking forward to it. It's looking really good. So the format that Glory did for the Grand Prix was kind of a random draw, but also kind of not. So they brought out the 4 lower ranked fighters, and then each person was selected from that, and then they would pick what bracket they were going to be in. So 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then they brought out the higher ranked fighters, starting with the highest ranked, Rico Verhoeven, and then he gets to pick his opponent. So it wasn't quite random draw, but the higher ranked fighters were able to pick their opponent from the 4 lower ranked fighters. So let's start with the left side of the tournament. Levi Rigters selected to fight Uku Jurjendal. Levi Rigters is a towering Dutch striker who has been deemed the prince of kickboxing. He has wins over some of the other tournament entries like Nordin Mehedin and Tariq Ozaro. Plus, he's coming off of a first-round knockout win to qualify for this tournament. Now he is set to meet the Estonian slugger, Uku Jurjendal. Jurjendal qualified for this tournament when he knocked out kickboxing legend Badr Hari in the first round. Also in Glory, he was able to knock out the Infusion heavyweight champion Martin Terpstra by first-round knockout. Just 2 impressive first-round knockouts for Uku Jurjendal against the towering Dutch Levi Rigters. On the same side of the bracket will be Cookie Tariq Ozaro versus Bahram Rajabzadeh. Ozaro, the Nigerian Dutch striker, won a one-night 4-man tournament, beating all of his opponents by first-round knockout. He then defeated Antonio Plazabot versus TKO to earn an interim Glory Championship title. But most recently, he is coming off of a pretty boring loss to Rico Verhoeven for the undisputed title at the end of 2023. Bahram Rajabzadeh is a fighter that you need to watch. I love watching him. This man from Azerbaijan is an aggressive striker who earned a spot in this tournament with a head kick knockout against Luis Tavares before winning a one-night tournament defeating Mohamed Amine and Uku Jurjendal. Just so exciting. He's so exciting. So that is the left side of the bracket. Let's now go to the right side of the bracket. Nordine Mehedin will face Nabil Khashab. Now, these two people are teammates, and during the stare downs, it was the last pick. So Nordine Mehedin had to pick Nabil Khashab because he was the only person left. But they are teammates, and it seems like they're quite close because during the stare down, they really didn't want to square up at all. Mehedin is the most recent addition. Of course, he is the striker who took the place of the injured Antonio Plazabot. Antonio Plazabot was supposed to be in it, but he withdrew due to injury, and Nordine Mehedin took his place. Mehedin is most recently coming off of a head kick knockout in Paris in 2023. Nabil Khashab is ranked in the top 10 in Glory Kickboxing, and he earned the place in this Grand Prix after he outworked Nikola Filipovic in 2023. And the last matchup on the right side of the Grand Prix is Rico Verhoeven versus Sofiane Laidouni. So Rico Verhoeven was allowed to pick his opponent first. So he was the first ranked person who could pick any of the 4 lower ranked people in this tournament. But what he did, he wanted to face the highest ranked person on that side. So he picked whoever is ranked highest. That's who he picked. So Sofiane Laidouni. I mean, Rico Verhoeven, he probably doesn't need an introduction to anyone listening to this show, but he is the modern day king of kickboxing. He has been the Glory heavyweight champion since 2014 for 10 years. He has 11 title defenses to his name. And he will face Sofiane Laidouni of France, who earned victories over Nabil Khashab and Benjamin Adegbuyi to earn a place in this tournament. So let me know what you think of the matchups. The fighters themselves picked these matches, so let me know what you think of them. I'm really excited for this March Grand Prix. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a banger up and down the card. Also on the March 9th event will be a lightweight showdown between Tejani Beztadi looking to defend his title against Enrico Kell. Really good fight. We also have a light heavyweight title match. Done Giabina is looking to defend his title against Tariq Kababez. Good fights, good fights. So there's other title fights on the card, and the entire event is filling out. So it is getting quite impressive and quite good. The heavyweight Grand Prix coming up this March is the first of many for Glory, because they were talking about doing tournaments in almost every division that they have. So they will be having a light heavyweight Grand Prix, a middleweight Grand Prix, welterweight Grand Prix. They will be doing a Grand Prix at featherweight, collaborating with Rise. So there's lots of really fun stuff going on in Glory this year. And that's really good because some of those divisions need a little bit of a shake-up, and a one-night Grand Prix is a really good way to do it. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really good stuff going on in kickboxing, a lot of good stuff cooking, and a lot of exciting athletes in these divisions, right? I'm really looking forward to that welterweight Grand Prix. That's going to be really good. I think I was thinking about the light heavyweight Grand Prix recently. You have people like Done Giabina, Stefan Latuscu, Bahram Rajabzadeh will probably drop down for that tournament as well. So I think the light heavyweight Grand Prix could be really good. But yeah, just really looking forward to all of them in all honesty. But before I let you go on that note, let's talk about the welterweight Grand Prix and why I like it so much. I think welterweight might be the best division in Glory at this point. Like, you have the champion Andy Semler, Alim Nabiov, Jay Overmere, Jamie Bates, Hamicha, Chico Quasi, just all good stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Let's get back to the heavyweight Grand Prix. Just checking it out now. Like, I would like it to have quite a shakeup. So my personal just hope of somehow I want Uku Yuriandal or Bahram Rajabzadeh to win it. Just because they're bangers, and it would be silly. They're the least experienced fighters at heavyweight, in Glory's heavyweight division in the entire tournament. I just think it would be a ton of fun if those two were able to get violent finishes all the way and win in the finals. But let's be realistic for a second and take a look at these matches. Rico Verhoeven is by far the most experienced at this level, and he's also fought in tournaments before. He's fought in 4-man tournaments before. Glory, when they first started, they had like a 32-man heavyweight tournament where he would have fought a bunch of times in one night. And I think he lost to Semi Schilt along the way. But still, he has experience in one-night tournaments, and he has experience at this level. And given how the matches look on the brackets, he is most likely to at least reach the finals, if not win. So if you're a betting person, Rico Verhoeven is the safest bet. And I wouldn't say Uku Yuriandal or Bahram Rajabzadeh or even sleeper people that you can really put bets on as underdogs. If you're looking for an underdog, honestly, maybe Nabil Khashab. I think that's a really good win for him. I mean, Levi Rigters, maybe. Even Sofiane Laidouni, it was an underdog, but he was paired against Rico in the first round. So yeah, it's a little bit tough to really pick an underdog in this one, but it's the safe bet, of course, is Rico Verhoeven. And if he wins this, we have to really change and calibrate where we rank him in the all-time list, because winning a tournament this big is a really big deal in addition to all the other accolades he has. And that opinion of where Rico ranks in the all-time great really depends on who you're asking. Of course, Glory would say he is the greatest of all time. Look at all these wins. More, other people would say, like, look at those wins more closely and then put those into perspective of what they mean. Most people you speak with are going to say that the golden age of kickboxing, your Ernesto Hoots, your Peter Arts, your Andy Huggs, all rank ahead of Rico Verhoeven, even on heavyweight lists. If you include other weight classes, you could have other people like Tenshin Asakawa, even Shingiz Alazov. There's tons of other people like that you can put on that list. But if he wins this tournament, I don't know, where do you rank him? Where would you put him on an all-time list for heavyweights and all-time in kickboxing? It's tough to say just because he wasn't competing during the golden age, but you can't argue with his results. Like, he just keeps beating these people. Quick note on Jamal Ben Sadiq. So he was in talks for being in this tournament, and that was heavily rumored. So Antonio Plazabot dropped out. The rumor was that Jamal Ben Sadiq would drop in. As you can see, Jamal Ben Sadiq is not, due to an outcry of comments on Instagram and Twitter and elsewhere when it was shown that he would not. Glory did update and say, like, it's just not the right time for him. So I don't know if they're still in contract negotiations for Jamal Ben Sadiq or he's injured and just recovering. But it sounds like Jamal Ben Sadiq will be back in the Glory ring this year based on what Glory has said. They have indicated that they will have him back. Against who? Don't know. There's tons of good fights for him in the division. I would have liked Antonio Plazabot and Jamal Ben Sadiq to be in this tournament, but you just can't win them all. You can't get everything that you want, but those two guys, maybe they square off against each other later this year. All right, let's move forward here. Now we're going to be covering the Wu Lin Fang WLF fight card that I was talking about last week. It went down on the weekend, and there's a few notable stuff on it. The main event saw WLF and K1 champion Ouyang Fang defeat David Kiria via low kicks. David Kiria is a former Glory champion, competed in one championship, very experienced kickboxer. Ouyang Fang is just so far ahead of him in terms of like speed and everything else. But yeah, David Kiria either looked very old or unmotivated and just showing up for a paycheck. But yeah, it was a TKO via low kicks. Co-main event saw the towering heavyweight K1 openweight champion Liu Si able to defeat Sebastian Lutanic. And this was for the vacant ISKA Intercontinental Heavyweight title. This was round one via low kicks. Knocked him down 3 times with low kicks, and Sebastian from Romania was not able to get up. So really a good win from Liu Si, just adding to his highlight reel. Lucy, we're all on the highlight train now, right? Like even Joe Rogan was talking about him and trying to remember his name, but just, yeah, it's just incredible stuff. That low kick must hurt like hell. But yeah, he's just a towering heavyweight, a young man. He's getting lots of minutes in the ring and some impressive wins here. So hopefully they can pair him up against some better heavyweights and later this year. Gia Akoy was able to defeat David Mejia, capturing the vacant Wu Lin Fang title. The Gia Akoy didn't really deserve to win this. I think David Mejia did far more and should have got the nod on the judges' scorecards. But let that be a lesson to all aspiring kickboxers who are maybe competing in WLF. You really need to defeat your opponents for the judges to even look at you, because this should have been, I think David Mejia did a lot more, probably won 3 rounds. But yeah, Gia Akoy got the win, so cool. All right. Hirotaka Asahasi, former WLF champion and has competed in K1, was able to defeat Wei Yang via decision. This was a weird moment where Asahisa was able to get a very clear knockout. It was a right hook, and Wei's head went back, and then Wei collapsed to the canvas. But the referee didn't say that it was a knockdown. He just said like he was a slip or whatever. Like no universe ever did that guy slip. That was a very clear knockdown. So some questionable officiating with this fight, but Hirotaka was able to get the win in the end anyway. Zhang Lunpei was able to get a win against Petchdam via 3-round decision. Daniel Puertas was able to get a first-round left hook knockout against Zhao Shangcheng. It was a good fight card overall. If you can get a copy of it somewhere, it's worth watching. WLF is always really good. They don't have any VPN, so you can watch it live. I think actually on Tape Delay, if you can navigate the Douyin website, you can find a copy of it somewhere. Try Googling it. I don't know. But yeah, it was a very exciting fight card with lots of good kickboxing on it. We have some news and results coming out from RWS Muay Thai Raja Damnern Stadium World Series. Last week, Hercules was able to defend his title against Erdem Dinser. This was a rematch because their first fight was so close. So this fight was just a war, but I think Hercules really did show that he was the better fighter. He landed some flying knees. He was able to keep the fight at the range that he wanted. He landed a head kick that just like grazed his opponent's face, able to score knockdowns as well. Hercules looked just ahead of his opponent here. Despite the first fight being quite close, Hercules has come out of this series looking very, very good. And it's a really good fight as well. Look up Hercules versus Erdem Dincer on YouTube. It's a really good fight. Sornka was able to defeat the famous French author Victor Hugo, who came back to life as a Brazilian Muay Thai fighter. A little bit sad about that one. I mean, Victor Hugo, I would have liked him to have more success, especially after the smashing success of the books that he's written, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Les Mis, stuff like this. So I wanted him to have that same success in Muay Thai. But yeah, Victor Hugo lost. So, you can only reuse the same jokes so many times. So maybe it was good that he lost, because if he kept winning, I would have to keep making the same joke. But yeah, for those who have been listening since the first episode, they know I'm not opposed to making the same joke over and over again. I don't care. This weekend in the RWS Muay Thai main event will be a rematch for the Raja Damnern Stadium light flyweight title. This is going to be between Pech Tunung, who may be better known as Isaac Muhammad from France, will take on Domtong. Their first fight was really exciting and really showed skill in Muay Thai, because it was like a telephone booth clinch fight with tons and tons of elbows. It was almost like if you eliminated kicks, punches, and knees in Muay Thai and just saw what the fight might look like, it would look like their first fight a lot, because that's what it was. Tons and tons of elbows. And because of it, Domtong had a major gash going across his head. And I don't know why the fight was even allowed to continue. Like, if for the old fans, like, it looked like the Marvin Eastman cut. But yeah, look up Domtong's cut, because oh my God, it looked bad. Just tons of elbows going back in the fight, opening cuts. Both guys were bloody in this fight, because it was only one guy bleeding, but man, both of those guys were bloody. So, and because it was scored a draw, actually. So now we're going to have a rematch with the Raja Damnern Stadium flyweight title on the line. Should be a really good fight. First fight was really, really close. Also on the card, the one person maybe to keep an eye on for the future, young man, Younes Anane, and he's from France, but he's only 16 years old. Already he's gotten one knockout win in RWS. Now he's going to be facing Fupa this weekend, so we can see if his success can continue. But yeah, certainly a young man to keep an eye on. He might have a successful career and really take off in the next couple of years. But yeah, Younes Anane from France, trains out of the Venom Muay Thai gym. Really just someone to keep an eye on there. Kicking off the card, the first prelim will be a female fight between Zhu Mai Mai from China against Pech Morakot from Thailand. I do like that they reuse names, because this young lady who's like 117 pounds or 111 pounds is definitely not Pech Morakot, but she is Pech Morakot. She's not the Pech Morakot. She is one of the Pech Morakots. But yeah, so I'm wishing the female Pech Morakot all the success in the world. Petchdam is also one of those people who, he's not fighting this weekend. Petchdam's not fighting. He fought last weekend. But there's two Petchdams, and one's way better than the other Petchdam. But I think in one championship, they changed that there was Petchdam, the first one, and then there was Petchdam, the second one. I think they changed the second Petchdam to like Petyadam or something, or Petdam, just to make it a little bit more clear, because they do use renames. They do use the same names over and over again. And maybe if you're new to Muay Thai, you don't really know the story of Pech. I kind of do too. I saw a documentary about it a while back, but it does mean diamond in Thai, but it is a reference to something or someone's gym or a coach. And I wish I could remember what it was about, but maybe some expert out there can remind me of like all these fighters named Pech. It means diamond, but it is also a reference to a legend in Muay Thai. I apologize for forgetting what it is. I think that's about it for kickboxing. So I'll talk about the big show, the UFC, a little bit, because we're still dealing with some of the fallout coming out of UFC 297. So many people on Twitter are calling the main event between Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland a robbery or something else. But I just can't believe, first of all, it's middleweight. Who cares? It's middleweight in 2024. This division is so bad. This is by far the worst division in the UFC of the men's division. But it is just absolutely awful. Who cares who the champion was? It wasn't a robbery. It was pretty close. Yeah, it could have been scored either way. That's not a robbery. It could have been scored either way. But the most important thing is, I can't believe that people's ride or die fighter is Sean Strickland. They act like this guy, they even put him next to photos of the God of War video game. They're acting like he's some Viking king, like he is some guy who goes out on his shield. He is kill or be killed. No, Sean Strickland has never, ever been any of those things. When he's losing a fight, he doesn't change his game plan and start brawling. When he's winning a fight, he doesn't adjust his game plan to capitalize on how he's ahead. He is a jab guy. Sometimes he throws a 1-2. That's about it. People are acting like he's some Wanderlei Silva, Shogun, Killer Be Killed, some Rampage Jackson, some Chuck Liddell, some guy who's tougher than life itself, tougher than steel, willing to go out on his shield. He'll throw down a brawl if he's losing, and he'll throw down a brawl if he's winning too. No, Sean Strickland will jab a fighter. Like, name any of these Sean Strickland fans without looking it up. Can you name anyone that he's knocked out? Name them. There's not many. Can you name them? Because, I work in MMA. I don't know any of those guys that he knocked out. Dricus du Plessis beat him in a pretty ugly fight, honestly. A good fighter should have been able to beat it. I think the reason Dricus du Plessis wins a lot of these fights is because he is such a bad striker, but goes 100%. And let me explain. It's not even that much of an insult, but his feet are out of place. His hips are out of place. His shoulders are doing weird things, but he throws a punch with 100% power. But because his feet and his hips and his shoulders are doing different things, a good striker doesn't know what he's doing and can't counter it, right? So when he comes in, he actually does stuff like he enters the same way, and it might be a takedown, it might be a jab, it might be a 1-2, it could be a head kick. You don't know what it is because he is doing weird things when he enters. So a good fighter has no idea where to block, where to parry, where to dodge. And because of that, Dricus du Plessis has found a lot of success. On the ground, Dricus du Plessis is very, very good, very highly skilled. But yeah, standing up, he goes 100%, and that makes all the difference. Even if the setup doesn't really work, the kinetic chain doesn't really work for all of his striking, he's putting 100% power behind it, so it has an effect. But yes, grappling, he's quite good. But yeah, I started talking about the UFC a little bit just at the end of shows because people wanted more time, and I need to find something to pad it out because I think kickboxing is going to be slow for the next couple weeks here. And kickboxing generally is quite slow, especially for a weekly show. So I'll find some stuff to pad time going forward. But yeah, probably talk about the UFC now and again. Coming up this weekend, there is a shootboxing event with Kaito, the champion, Kaito Ono. I talked about him. He fought Tejani Bestati. He just is coming off a quick, impressive knockout win. He's going to be fighting Pech Moricott, the aforementioned Pech Moricott. We also have Wu Lin Fang having an event this weekend as well. And yeah, that's it for a little while. It's nothing huge going on this weekend. And then even after that, there's nothing huge going on for a little while. But yeah, folks, thank you for joining me. Kick Weekly with Tim Wheaton. I really do appreciate your time. If you have any suggestions, questions, comments, whatever it might be, leave it down in the comments down below. I appreciate all of you. Reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, whatever it might be. Wherever you want to reach out to me, I'm out. Hey, folks, thank you so much for your time. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you same time next week.